Hey everybody, welcome to this IELTS listening course. This is lesson 1. My name is Ben, and I am your instructor for this course. And this is what we're going to cover in lesson 1. We'll first of all go over the IELTS listening in general. Okay, a total overview of the whole test, and just some basic tips and basic things to keep in mind when you are taking the IELTS listening test in general. Okay? And then we're going to dive into two question types that are very closely related: sentence completion and form completion. Okay, this is where you're filling in the blanks with 1 or 2 or 3 words and or a number. Okay, we'll go over some basic strategies there, and I'll actually show you how this question type is written. Okay, how did they go about writing this question type? You can start to think of the test from the inside out instead of just from the outside. Okay, it's going to be a big theme in this course, is I want to teach you how the writer goes about writing the test. And that way, you should have a deeper understanding than your average IELTS test taker. Okay? Let's get into it. This is me. That is my picture. And this is some basic information about me. For one thing, I am a university professor. Okay, that's my sort of main job. Or I guess that's my full-time job. And then I have many roles related to the IELTS exam that are in addition to this work as a university professor. So as a professor, I teach academic writing and I teach conversational speaking. Okay, so a lot of what I do is related to the IELTS writing section. I also teach a course on that on QQ. So if you're interested in writing, definitely check that out. And then of course I have a listening or a speaking course as well. Okay. Now, the roles related to IELTS, for one thing, I am an IELTS examiner. Okay, and in that role, I conduct IELTS speaking exams, and I also check and score IELTS writing exams as well. Okay, but I also do work as an IELTS test writer, and that's going to be the most relevant for you in this course. That's going to be the sort of expertise that you can use to help you improve your band score, because I actually write these listening passages, and I write reading passages, and I write the question sets to match them. Okay, so I know exactly how the test operates. I know all of the different traps that a test writer might use, and I can pass on that information to you. Okay? So that's my goal here today, is to give you that information that I have learned through writing tests. And then finally, of course, I'm an IELTS teacher. That's what I'm doing right now, is teaching you about the IELTS. Okay? A couple random things about me. Each lesson I'll give you a couple pieces of information about me that you probably don't need to know, but just to get to know me a little bit better. My favorite food is steak. I love steak. I could eat steak every day. Especially there's this style of steak called sous vide. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, sous vide, but oh man, it's my dream to eat a sous vide steak. Someday, I hope. All right, and then also I love coffee, and the style of coffee that I like the most is an iced Americano. In fact, I have one right here next to me. All right. So if you ever want to send me coffee from China, please do. Okay. Send me an iced Americano. All right. Let's move on. Here is our course outline. Okay. We're going to cover all of the listening question types in 5 lessons. Okay. So as you can see today, or in this first lesson, we're covering sentence and form completion. All right. Tomorrow, or the next lesson, lesson 2, it's going to be a very important day where we cover multiple choice. All right. Multiple choice is probably the question type that students have the most trouble with. And we'll discuss why, and we'll also give you some really good strategies to deal with that. Okay? Third, lesson 3, table completion, and we'll also do matching features. All right? Fourth, label the diagram and label the map. This is another one that students have a lot of difficulty with. It takes some special skills. And lesson 5, we'll cover list of options questions, as well as a general review of all of the 5 lessons. All right. You can see down at the bottom of the screen, there is a QQ group number. Okay. That is the group only for people who have purchased this course. Okay. So you only get access to that if you have purchased the video course or the live course. So please join that group, and I will be regularly checking it to answer your questions. If you are taking this class as a kind of simulated live course, I will be in that QQ group immediately following this video to answer any questions that you have there. Okay? All right. Now, aside from the general course outline, I will cover a number of other smaller skills. Okay? Beginning with lesson 2 and through lesson 5. Okay? So we will cover, for example, how to paraphrase time. Okay? Different ways that time is paraphrased. This is a cause for problems for a lot of students, is time is expressed in several different ways in English, and test writers like to use paraphrasing when it comes to time. That can be tricky, so we'll cover that. Also, spelling names. Okay, there's a few troublesome letters that sometimes cause students to trip up, and we will cover those. Big or difficult numbers. Okay, some numbers are a bit tricky, and test writers like to use tricky ones. And then the bigger numbers, when you get into thousands and millions, can be difficult as well, especially if you're using a different number system than the one that is used in English. All right, now let's cover some basic ideas of the IELTS listening. First of all, there are 4 sections. Okay, if you've done any practice at all, you know this already. There are 4 sections. Each section has 10 questions for a total of 40 questions. Within those 4 sections, 2 of them, okay, section 1 and section 2, are based on social situations. Okay, typically in lesson 1 or in section 1, it is often someone calling a organization or a business on the phone and setting up an appointment or asking for information, something like that, where the listener or the person calling is getting information from a business or an organization. Okay. Section 2, typically you have a different scenario, but it's also a social situation. Typically it will be a conversation between 2 people. Okay, it's a very common section 2. The sections 3 and 4 are both based on academic situations. Okay, so section 3 is often a professor and a student, or a professor and 2 students, or 2 students, and they're discussing something directly related to school or assignments. Okay, a project or a research paper that they're working on, something like that. The professor might be giving advice. Okay, the students might be explaining their project. Okay, or it could be related to something on campus. Okay, so it could be a professor looking to improve the program and asking the students to give some feedback, what they like and don't like about the program. Something like that. Okay, so it's almost a bridge. It's somewhat social because it is a conversation, but it's about an academic topic. Okay, and then section 4 has the most difficult language because it is not a conversation. It is a lecture or a presentation. Okay? The speaker is explaining some sort of process or some results of an experiment, okay? The results of a survey. The situation varies somewhat, but it's always one person explaining something to a group, okay? And it's a somewhat academic situation. All right, now if you've taken any other tests, for example, the TOEFL test has a much more dry, much more quote-unquote academic style of listening. Okay, the IELTS in general, even the academic situations, are presented in a somewhat more natural, more social way than the TOEFL. And I think that makes it easier, and I think it makes it a better test, but something to be aware of, okay? The test is 40 minutes long, okay, in total, the listening test. And that consists of 30 minutes of listening and writing your answers, okay? You're actually going to have two pieces of paper, or one kind of booklet and one piece of paper, all right? One of those you're going to use for 30 minutes. You're going to listen and write your answers in there, but you're actually not going to, that paper is not going to be scored, okay? The kind of booklet, right? There's also an answer sheet, okay? And after 30 minutes of listening, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers onto the answer sheet, okay? Now, it's very important. A lot of students kind of relax at this stage because the listening is over, right? Very important that you stay focused. Make sure that your answers are transferring perfectly and correctly to the other side, okay? Be careful about that. Nothing worse than getting the answer correct, but writing it down incorrectly. That's a horrible, horrible mistake to make, okay? Your band scores look something like this, okay? So in general, getting about half of them right will give you a 5.5. Right? Getting all of them right will give you a 9. And then between that, there are varying degrees, okay? But in general, this is how your scores will be processed. A couple of other tips. First of all, answer all the questions. All right? Don't skip any questions. Some standardized tests will punish you for getting a wrong answer, okay? Rather than just leaving it blank. The IELTS test does not. There's no reason not to guess. Guess on everything. You might be right. Just take a guess, okay? There's no harm in guessing if you don't know it, okay? The second thing is to capitalize names and places, okay? For example, the name Mary Shelby. If that's your answer, you must capitalize the M and you must capitalize the S, all right? If you don't, it's wrong. Okay, just completely wrong. There are no half points. You're not going to get any half credit. Completely wrong. All right? Or the Statue of Liberty. Okay, that's a place. That's a kind of monument. It must be capitalized. Okay, Green River must be capitalized. Emerald City must be capitalized. Okay? Now, a little trick. All right, if you are at all unsure about the rules of capitalization, if you capitalize every letter, okay, so for example, the Mary Shelby one, right? If you capitalize M-A-R-Y space S-H-E-L-B-E-Y, capital letters for everything, it will be correct. Lowercase letters for everything will be incorrect. So if you're not sure, should it be capitalized or not, capitalize every letter. That will be counted as correct. All right, so that's a little trick that can help you to not mess up the capitalization. You can capitalize every answer if you want. Other tips. Write on the test paper. By this I mean not the answer sheet, but the test paper, the other paper, the kind of booklet. Write a lot on it. Don't be afraid to write notes on it while you're listening. We're going to talk in a few minutes here about the preparation before each listening passage, okay, each section. There's some preparation time that you have. During this time, your pencil should be moving continuously. You should be writing everything that you think, okay? The process of moving something from your brain to your paper, it's actually a very calming, reassuring process. Okay, it's a way of making your thought permanent, right? And this can take a lot of stress away from you when you're taking the test. All right? A good example is, for me, I have a hard time organizing my tasks. All right? As you can see, I have several jobs. So organizing my work for my university and my work for IELTS, it sometimes can be confusing, or it can be stressful for me. So for me, it helps me to write down lists of things to do. Okay? If you look around my office, I have lists everywhere. And the lists reassure me. They make me feel calm. They make me feel relaxed. And that is a huge benefit when you're taking the exam. If you feel stressed, if you feel panicked, you're going to get a lower score. Okay, if you feel relaxed, you're going to get a higher score, most likely. All right? So write on the test paper. Write down your thoughts. Okay? Don't just think them in your head. That's not enough. You should write them down. Okay? Anyway, that's my little lecture on that. Write everything. Seriously. All right? There will be all kinds of accents on the exam. Okay? So if you have trouble listening to the Australian accent, I would recommend seeking out Australian media and watching it a lot. Okay? Get accustomed to it. The Australian accent, New Zealand accent, certain British accents can be difficult. Maybe for you, maybe the American accent is difficult. I don't know. But if you struggle with any accents, seek out media that is done in that accent and just get your ear accustomed to it. Be careful of spelling. If you spell a word wrong, the answer is incorrect. Okay? They're not going to be kind to you. The examiners are very strict. Okay? Capitalization is important, and spelling is important as well. Okay, well, let's get into our question type for today, which is sentence and form completion. Now, the first thing I'd like to start with is to describe how this type of question is written. All right, how does the test writer, like me, how do we write this question type? All right, I can give you a little training in case you want to be a test writer someday. No, actually, understanding it the way it's written should really help you understand how to take the test as well, okay? So let's explore the process here. There are three choices for the test writer, okay? We can go, and this is the easiest, straight up, no tricks, okay? There's no traps, no difficult spellings, no difficult numbers or anything. All right, you just have to listen closely and listen for the 1-word or 2-word or 3-word phrase or a number. Okay? You often get this type in forms, not so much in sentences. Okay? Sentences are usually a little harder, but in a form, like in section 1, you get a lot of just straight up fill in the blank completion questions. Okay? If a writer puts too many tricks in section 1, it's too difficult. Section 1 should be fairly easy. Okay? But in section 2, section 3, you start to get more the second type, where you have to listen for the spelling. Right? Somebody's name, the name of a city, something like that, and they spell it out for you, and you have to listen for that. That's a kind of special skill. It's a little more difficult than the just straight up questions. And then the third type, the one that I enjoy writing the most, is traps. Okay? This is where we lay down a trap for the test taker so that they will choose the wrong answer. I love writing these because it's really tricky, and there are a few devices that we can use to trick you. Okay, so I'll go over what those are. With a sentence and form completion, there's typically only one trap. There's a correct answer and there's a trap. Okay, typically just one. All right, now when we get to multiple choice in lesson 2, you're going to see 2 traps. And that's why multiple choice can be so difficult, is you've got one correct answer and 2 traps. But here, we're just dealing with one trap. So this will be a good introduction to traps in general, okay? Because we just have to hear one. All right, now writing a question with a trap, here's the process. Here's how it works. The writer starts off with a full sentence. Something like this. The speaker wants to live near the beach. Okay? And that could be in like a form, or it could be this whole sentence put into the question set. All right? Then the writer takes out a word or two. In this case, I took out one word. The speaker wants to live near the... All right? And as a test taker, you're going to imagine it must be a location, right? Near the ocean, near the river, near the suburbs, near the tower. Could be any sort of noun, right? Any sort of location noun. All right? So the next step is for the writer to think of another possible answer as a trap. Okay? And that, in this case, would be city center. Okay? So notice beach is the correct answer. City center is our trap. Okay? Now the trap can come before or after the answer. That's what makes traps difficult. You have to listen to both and listen for the trap either at the beginning or at the end. All right? So, here's an example. Well, in the dialogue or in the lecture, the writer is going to create a natural context so that both words, the answer and the trap, can be mentioned in the script, okay, in the dialogue or in the lecture. Okay, so that as a test taker, you hear both. Okay, and that's a real test of your ability to listen for the meaning, is to pick out which one is correct. All right, so here's an example of a trap before the answer. Read that with me. So the man asks, "Where would you like the apartment to be located?" The woman answers, "Well, most of our friends live near the city center, but ideally we would like to be situated close to the beach." Okay, so notice, near the city center is mentioned, and close to the beach is mentioned. Okay, and you can see the word in the middle there, the word but. Okay, that's where everything rotates around. Okay, most of our friends live here, but we would like to be near the beach. Okay, so we set up the trap first, and then we give the full answer here. Okay, so a really eager test taker is going to write down city center because they hear live near the city center. Right? Just like our answer, right? Live near the city center, right? So you have to be patient as a test taker and listen for this but, and then listen for the meaning. Which of these meanings is best? The speaker wants to live near the beach, in this case. All right. Now let's look for a trap after the answer. Again, the man asks, "Where would you like the apartment to be located?" And the woman answers, "Well, our ideal location is adjacent to the beach, However, we're open to other options as long as we can avoid living near the city center. So again, we have a kind of contrasting word, and we have to decide which of these, this part or this part, which of them matches the idea the speaker wants to live near the something. Okay, and in this case, the speaker actually wants to avoid living near the city center. They want to live, the ideal location is adjacent to or near the beach, next to the beach. Okay? So one thing you may have noticed here, notice in this example, near the city center. Near the city center. And that matches perfectly with the answer, near the city center. Okay? And that's not by accident. Okay? So normally the trap is less paraphrased. Live near the beach, that's the answer. Living near the city center. Okay, that's our trap. And then what is the real answer? Situated within walking distance, I spelled distance wrong, but within walking distance of the beach. Okay? Or adjacent to the beach. Or situated close to the beach. All right? So what we're doing is basically the basic sort of strategy, if you're a low-level student, is to notice the near the blah, right? And so we know that a low-level student is going to be listening for near the blah and just fill in that blank, right? They're not really listening for the meaning, okay? So we want those students to get this answer wrong, okay? We want to reward the students who can actually listen for the meaning and see which one of these answers is correct. Okay, that's a higher level skill. And this question with a trap, it's going to reward the higher level student with a correct answer, and it's going to punish the student with a very basic strategy. Okay? So a big part of success in this question type and in the entire IELTS listening is just to get a lot of practice with traps. You need to see a lot of traps and understand how they work. There's a lot of different ways to introduce a trap. Okay? In section 1, it's typically going to be a simple paraphrase trap, right? Or it'll be something really obviously negative, right? Like with this but here. Most of our friends want to live near the city center, but we would like to live near the beach. I think that's a pretty obvious trap. Okay? That's definitely a section 1 trap. Fairly easy. Okay? Or in this one, avoid living near the city center. That's a pretty obvious one to hear. Okay? It doesn't take a lot of explanation. It should be pretty clear right away when you hear it. Okay? So that's a section 1 example. But we're going to see later, section 2, section 3, section 4, the paraphrasing on these traps can get really complex. Okay? These negative words like avoid, they're not going to use those. Okay? The test writer is going to paraphrase the trap in a much more complex and difficult way to hear. Okay? In fact, the paraphrasing might even get longer. You might have paraphrasing that goes across several lines of dialogue. Okay? It can get really complicated, and we'll look at examples of that. All right? But the key for traps is to see lots of examples. Okay? There's just hundreds of different ways to do it. Okay? All right. Moving on here, when you are getting ready to do this question type, you have some time to prepare. Okay? The preparation stage is really important for the listening. Okay? You need to set it up so that you can maximize your listening skill. Okay? the first thing you should do is circle the word or number requirement, whether it's 1 word or 2 words or 3 words, an and or a number. Circle that. You don't want to miss that. Next, underline the key words, okay, either in the sentence or in the form. These are the words that are going to help trigger your active listening for that section. Third, write down possible paraphrases. Okay, so if you have time after underlining the keywords, actually write on the paper, write down some words that are similar to those keywords. So if you underlined important, write down necessary, essential, crucial. Okay, write down a few words that are similar to that keyword. Okay, because a lot of times, especially in section 2, section 3, section 4, you're going to have heavy paraphrasing. Okay, don't just think of it in your head. Write it down. It really does help. And then finally, write the parts of speech. Okay, so if you have a fill in the blank and you think it's going to be 1 word, if it seems like it should be an adjective, write adjective, ADJ. Write it in Chinese or write it in your own language if you want. Okay, but just to get your mind focused on that one little piece of information that you need to listen for. Okay, if it's a noun, an adjective, an adverb, all right. If you don't know what these parts of speech are, which I think you probably do if you're at this level of English, but if you don't, remember, go to this QQ group. You can ask me any questions about any of these things here in the group. Okay? All right. Now, while you are listening, here's some things to keep in mind. Watch out for the traps, before and after traps. Okay? Don't be too eager. Okay? You have to be nice and patient sometimes. But always keep an eye on the next question. So if you're listening for question 2, keep an eye on the keywords for question 3 because there's a chance that you could miss question 2. And you don't want to miss question 3 also. Okay? It's always going to go in order. All right, so use that to your advantage. Keep your eyes a little bit ahead so that you don't totally miss a couple of questions. Missing 1 question is not the end of the world. Missing 2 or 3 in a row, that is a problem, right? Don't fall behind. Okay, that goes right along with that. Don't get stuck where you're, 3 questions back. You're going to miss a lot of points. And don't panic. Okay, that's why I prefer to write things down a lot, because it helps me to stay calm. You gotta stay calm. Panicking is not going to help you. Just remember that. Staying calm will help you. Panic will hurt you. Now let's look at an example. All right, take a look at this for a minute. I'll give you a few seconds just to scan through it. Drink my iced Americano. Okay, this comes from a Cambridge book, right? So this is a kind of standard example. All right, notice that it is section 1. Okay, should be fairly simple. Probably won't have too many traps. Okay. Should be fairly on the easy side, okay? And it's a form that we're filling out, all right? And the form has fairly obvious categories here that we should be listening for, okay? And it's going to go in pretty standard order. A few, like 30 seconds about this, 30 seconds about this, 30 seconds about this. Should go in standard order, okay? Now, the first thing we should do is to circle the word and number requirement, right? And that is right there. 3 words and or a number. So 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, and or a number. So the most we could have is 3 words and a number. The least we could have is 1 word or just a number. Next, underline the key words. Now, in a form, this should be easier. The keywords should be more obvious. All right. In this case, all of those categories on the left, those are all important. Okay. I guess reference number is not important because that's not for question 3. Okay. But address, shipping agent, date of arrival is important. And then in the address, we can listen for those 2 pieces there. Manley Street, 24 Manley Street. And we can listen for Sydney. Okay. Write possible paraphrases. Now, in this case, okay, in this form, I can't really imagine any paraphrases. I was looking through them and I thought, how could we paraphrase address? No, it's not really possible. Or shipping agent? I don't think it's possible to paraphrase that. Date of arrival? Maybe arrival. They might use the word arrive. Or another word for arrive would be like get there. It will get there on January 15th. Maybe. It will. I'm thinking they'll use the word arrive, I would guess. Okay? So I can't really think of any synonyms or paraphrasing that the writer would use in this case. But for sentences, you're going to see a lot of paraphrasing. Okay? And in section 2, section 3, section 4, you will see more and more paraphrasing. All right? This is section 1, so it's going to be minimal. And write the parts of speech. Okay? So our parts of speech, number 1, I was trying to imagine what number 1 is because we have the street address and we have the city. So actually for number 1, I couldn't really think of what, as a test taker, I couldn't think what could be going on there. I don't know what we're listening for there. Number 2, I imagine it's a person's name. That's what I was thinking. Or maybe a company name. It could be. All right. And then the date of arrival, obviously that's a date. Okay, so you're going to write those in there. All right. Probably don't actually write them there because you're going to write your answers there. Okay, but that's what we're listening for each one. Write that stuff down. Okay, don't just think it in your head. All right, they're giving you a little time to prepare. Use that time. Keep your pencil moving continuously during that whole preparation period. I'm serious about this. Write constantly. All right. And we're going to look here at the script. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and read the script for you here. Oh, I tried to block out the answers, but yeah, they're kind of peeking through. That's okay. All right. Ready? I'll read the script. You read it with me. Okay. And your address, please? My old address or my current one? Your current one. It's 24 Manley Street, Milperra, near Sydney. What was the suburb? Sorry? Milperra. Milperra. Right. Now, who was the shipping agent? Mr. Alexander? Oh, sorry. Now, who was the shipping agent, Mr. Alexander? You mean the company we used? Yes, the company who packed everything up at the point of origin. Oh, it was, first-class movers. Okay. Where were the goods shipped from? China, but the ship came via Singapore and was there for about a week. Don't worry, all of that information will be in the documentation. Now, the dates. Do you know when the ship arrived? It left on the 11th of October and got to Sydney on the 28th of November. Okay, I need one more thing. There's a reference number. All right, so numbers 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 was the kind of second type where we had to spell it out, right? Milperra. All right, not too bad. Number 2, we were right that there was a name there. Okay. some people might have said Mr. Alexander, okay? But if you're paying attention, that's the name of the man who's speaking, okay? So hopefully you won't write Mr. Alexander. I don't think that's a real trap. But I could imagine one or two test takers writing Mr. Alexander there. And actually what they're asking us to do there is to listen for 3 words, first-class movers, and recognize those words and write them in for number 2. So that's a straightforward question, but there are 3 words there, so that adds a little bit of difficulty. There's no traps, though, I don't think. Unless you count Mr. Alexander as a trap, which I don't think it's a real trap. Number 3, though, there is a trap. Okay? So number 3, let's see. So that's number 1. There's number 2. Now number 3 is here, right? And we can see as we predicted, okay, got to Sydney. It got there. It got to Sydney on the 28th of November. Okay? But notice the trap. In this case, we had a before trap. It left on the 11th of October and got to Sydney on the 28th of November. So we have 2 dates there, and we need to decide which one of them is correct. Okay? And the paraphrasing here is not too difficult. Okay? We have left and got to. If you know what those words mean, this should be easy to determine which of them is correct. All right? Not really complex there. As we can expect, because this is section 1. Okay, this is the 3rd question in the whole exam. It should be pretty easy. All right. Now, you might ask me, if I write 28th of November, that is correct, of course. But if you write November 28th, is that correct as well? The answer is yes. All right, dates can be written both ways, November 28th or 28th of November. Remember, we can use 3 words, up to 3 words, and or a number. So 28th of November, that is 2 words and a number. And November 28th, that's 1 word and a number. Okay, so both of them are okay. All right. Now sometimes, if you have here, write no more than 1 word and a number, if the script says November 5th, you need to write November 5th. If you write 5th of November, it will be wrong because that would be 2 words and a number. Okay? But as long as it fits within the requirements, both date methods are okay. Now, remember here, first class movers, when you write that into your answer sheet, it must be capitalized. F, C, and M must be capital. Milpura, the M must be capital. November, the N must be capital. Okay? If you don't do that, it will be wrong. If you're at all unsure, just make the whole thing capital. All right? Capital for first class movers, capital F, I, R, S, T, capital C, capital L, capital A, capital S, capital S. The whole thing can be capital, that will be correct. If the whole thing is lowercased, that will be incorrect. Okay? Alrighty, so next, let's look at a few examples. We're going to look at some Cambridge examples, 3 examples. One from section 1, one from section 2, and one from section 3, I believe. Getting a little more difficult each time. And then we will look at one example set that I wrote myself, and we will analyze that one as well. So for each of these practices, we're going to go through the preparation process, okay, of these 4 steps. All right. Then I'm going to read out the script for you. All right. You do your best to answer the questions. All right. And then I will show you the answers and we'll walk through and look at the traps or look at the types of questions that we're getting, or the ways that the writer is trying to trick you. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at our first example now. All right, guys, so here is our first example that we're going to look at. All right, some of you may recognize this is from one of the Cambridge books. Like I said, the last example that we use will be one that I wrote myself. Okay, some insider materials. But for the first few, we will use the Cambridge Standard materials. Okay. So this comes from test number 1, and it's from section 1. Okay, you can see the questions 3 through 10. So we're going to go through the preparation steps first. All right. So let's see, we've got Summer Music Festival booking form. Oh, the first thing we should do is to circle this key information here. No more than 2 words and or a number. Okay. Notice that right away and circle it so you don't forget. Okay. 2 words and or a number. And then let's see, what else do we need to know here? Oh, keywords are next. All right. So some keywords that we need. Let's just highlight here. But in the test, you'll want to underline rather than highlight. But we will need to know, let's see, again, we've got address, postcode, telephone. Okay, I can't really think of any paraphrased words here, but we'll need West Sea as well. All right. And then here we've got includes. So these are events. So dates, events, price per ticket, and number of tickets. Okay. So the singer. Okay. And for me, I noticed the word includes. As a test writer, that it definitely kind of signals to me something like, okay, including, or let's see, the price includes, comes with, okay, something like that. Those kind of keywords you want to write down. Even if you don't end up really thinking of even if you can't predict the exact keyword, writing these words down helps you kind of start to mentally consider these different things. Okay? It really does help. So we're going to write that in there. Let's see what else here. For keywords, this is obviously going to be important. Okay, Anna Ventura. Okay. And these keywords, Spanish dance and guitar concert, okay, that's going to be the signal for listening to these. Okay. Okay, and actually, now that I think about it, In the Garden is also going to be important as well. Okay, when we get to number 10, we've got children, students, senior citizens, and discount. Okay, discount, we can think of some synonyms there. Okay, discount words like some amount of money off, 10 euros off, maybe. Reduced price, something like that. Okay, just think of a couple. You don't have to think of a ton of keywords, but a couple that will help you to start to consider those paraphrased ideas. Okay, let's get this out of the way a little bit. Okay, and at that point, we should be ready to go. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and read you the... Oh, sorry, I forgot about the last step, which is to think of the parts of speech. Okay? Parts of speech for this one, let's see. Address. We can think here this should be some sort of number and street. Okay, I would imagine. That we need to listen for. Here, the postcode will want, this is going to be just a number. Telephone. Okay, of course, a phone number. Okay, it should be pretty easy. All right. This one, what kind of part of speech are we looking for? Price includes blank in the garden. It's going to be a noun, right? Okay, we don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be a noun. Okay. Here, this event, I don't know what this could be, but if I notice here, group, singer, concert, this is probably going to be a noun. Okay. Some sort of noun. And here we've got a price. Okay. Here we've got number 9. What do we have here? A number. I'm guessing it will be a small number, right? We'll get 2, 2, 1, maybe 3, maybe 1, maybe 2. Okay, and here could be a percent discount, or a price. Could be like a $10 discount, okay, or 10% discount. One of those two, okay. Now, when you're writing them by hand, you're going to be able to do this much faster, and you can also do it in your own language, okay, which would probably be even faster. All right. So you want to do this super quick, but write. Use your pencil. Write as much as possible in the preparation time. Okay. Now, chances are this will be broken up into 2 pieces. All right. So, yeah, in fact, yeah, we're going to have this broken up into, well, nope, this whole form is going to be 1. Okay. Because actually 1 and 2, this was the first part of the listening. This is going to be all at once. All right. Okay. Now this section has 2 people. Okay. It's a woman named Nina and a man named George. Okay. So I will try to perform both of them. So Nina will have a little bit higher voice. Nina will be like this, and George will be like this. All right. So listen very closely. Get out your pencils, your paper, and try to answer all of these questions. Okay? Remember, no more than 2 words and or a number. Okay. I'll put it right here. Perfect. All right. So, will you fill in the form, or shall I? I'll do it. Name, George O'Neill. Address, 48 North Avenue, West Sea. Do you remember our new postcode? Still can't remember it. Just a minute. I've got it written down here. WS6 2YH. Do you need the phone too? Please. I'm really bad at numbers. 01674 553242. So let's book 2 tickets for Guitarini. Okay, if you're sure $7.50 each is all right, how do you feel about the singer? I haven't quite decided, but I've noticed something on the booking form that might just persuade me. What's that then? Free refreshments. Really? Yes, look here. Sunday, 17th of June. Singer. Tickets €6, including drinks in the garden. Sounds like a bargain to me. Yes, let's book 2 tickets for that. So what else? I'm feeling quite keen now. How about the pianist on the 22nd of June? Anna Ventura? I've just remembered that's my evening class night. That's okay. I'll just have to go on my own. But we can go to the Spanish dance and guitar concert together, can't we? Yes, I'm sure Tom and Kieran would enjoy that too. Good heavens, $10.50 a ticket. I can see we're going to have to go without food for the rest of the week. We'll need to book 4. Wish we were students. Look, children, students, and senior citizens get a 50% discount on everything. If only. Whew. All right, my acting skills put to the test. That's the end of that that conversation there between the kind of husband and wife. Now let's go over our answers. I'm going to switch the screen now so that we can see the script as well as the answers side by side. So let's take a look. So I would say number 3, 4, and 5 are very straightforward. Okay, there are no traps, right? The only thing that's difficult is listening for these numbers and these letters. Okay, there's a couple of tricky letters in here, and this is something that we're going to cover in lesson 2. All right, so if you have trouble listening for letters like W, right? And then sometimes they'll do something like 55, right? If you have trouble with that, stay tuned, okay? Lesson 2, we will cover that problem, all right? So yes, number 3, we have here 48 North Avenue. Okay, pretty simple, I think. The postcode, WS62YH. All right. You can put a space there or not, doesn't matter. Okay. As long as you have those 6 letters and numbers in order, it will be correct. And the phone number is quite long. Okay. And that's what makes this question slightly more difficult, is that you have all of these numbers. Okay. Can be difficult. Now, looking at number 6. Okay, so we had here, I've noticed something on the booking form that so how do you feel about the singer? There's our keyword, right? So we should be listening for that singer. Okay, and we're listening for includes, including, comes with. Okay, I haven't quite decided, but I've noticed something on the booking form that might just persuade me. What's that then? Free refreshments. Okay, free refreshments. Really? Yes, look here. Sunday, 17th of June, singer, ticket €6, including drinks in the garden. Notice, in the garden is what we hear there. Exactly the same. In the garden. Drinks in the garden. Okay, so we do have the word includes, all right, and we have in the garden. So it might be a little hard to pick out the word drinks, but the test writer has made it a bit simpler by using no paraphrasing. Okay, so there are no traps there and no paraphrasing, just a straightforward question. Question 7. So what else? How about the pianist on the 22nd of June? So notice our date here, right? We forgot to notice that as our keyword, okay? You guys got to remind me of those things. Okay, so the pianist on the 22nd of June. No trap, but the word pianist may be unfamiliar to you, okay? That's a hard word to spell. Okay, that makes that a bit tricky. Yeah, that's a hard one. I'm surprised by that word, actually. Typically, in section 1, it's all going to be words that are well known to everyone. Okay, but if we move on to 8, here we've got Spanish dance and guitar concert. Okay, and we're listening for the price. Right? Good heavens, $10.50 a ticket. $10.50. Okay, so just like this one, $7.50. Right? They're asking you to put in this just as it is here. 10.50. $10.50 a ticket. Okay, and we're going to talk about, again, we're going to focus on this individual skill later in the course about numbers, okay, difficult numbers. Okay, and then we'll need to book 4. Right? And notice all of these are straight ahead. We have no traps so far. Okay, no traps at all. And in number 10 as well, 50% discount, very simple. Okay, Not even a paraphrase. We didn't even use these paraphrased words. Okay? So this entire form, 3 through 10, is all straightforward questions. Okay? That is a feature of section 1. You're not going to have too much paraphrasing. Okay? They're testing a very simple listening skill. Okay? That's why most test takers get most of the questions right in section 1. It's easier. All right. Now let's try something with section 2. Remember, if you have questions on this, bring them to the QQ group. And if you're attending this class live, write down your questions in the chat box, and I will answer them as soon as this lesson is finished. Okay? But in the meantime, yes, let's move on to a section 2 style question. All right, so here is our second example. This is from the same test in section 2, and we can see complete the sentences. So here is a sentence completion. We should have a bit more paraphrasing here, so this will be good practice for us for that skill. All right, and I would imagine maybe some traps as well, since we are into section 2. All right, so first thing we do to prepare, right, we notice this piece, 2 words and or a number. All right, and let's notice our keywords. Okay, closes on Mondays. All right, not open, and school groups, tour guides, and 90 minutes, including and guided tour, behind lunch. Okay, so for me, these are the most important keywords. Okay, the more you practice, the more you will be able to recognize those keywords quickly. All right, let's see if there's any paraphrases that we could use. Closes, I don't think so. Not open. Let's see if there are any paraphrases for not open. I guess not open means the same as closed, right? So maybe we'll have that word there as a paraphrase. Okay. All right, I wish there was a way to make that smaller, but there we go. Okay. And let's see, what else here? School groups, tour guides. I don't think we'll have paraphrasing there. 90 minutes. I don't think we'll have paraphrasing there. Including how many minutes for the guided tour. Okay. Yep, I don't see any paraphrasing chances there. Behind is a great one for paraphrasing, right? So what's a paraphrase for behind? In back of will be another paraphrase for behind. Behind, in the back of. It's the only one I can think of. Anyway. The word back, I think, might be important here. Okay. And lunch. Can't think of anything for lunch. Okay. So a couple of words that might be paraphrased. And we can also put in some parts of speech. Okay. Number. We'll put this behind here. Okay, so we're looking for a number for question 11. Probably a day. Day of the week. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Or maybe a date. Okay, let's put day or date. All right. 13. In the place or time. Okay, could be morning, could be evening, could be afternoon. It could also be a place. Okay, including, this should obviously be a number. And there are blank behind the museum. Okay, and we can, first of all, we know it's a noun and we know it's plural. Okay, and that's important. It's going to have an S at the end. All right, because we see there are blah. There are tables, there are desks, there are chairs, there are benches, there are something. Okay. All right, are you ready to listen? Here we go. I will read you the script. Okay, in this case, it's just one person talking, so I don't have to pretend to be two different people. Here we go. Get your pencils out and get ready. Hello, and thank you for asking me to your teachers' meeting to talk about the Dinosaur Museum and to tell you a bit about what we can do with your students there. Well, let me give you some of the basic information first. In regard to opening hours, we're open every day of the week from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., except on Mondays, when we close at 1:30 p.m. And in fact, the only day in the year when we're closed is on the 25th of December. You can book a guided tour for your school group anytime that we are open. If you bring a school group to the museum, when you arrive, we ask you to remain with your group in the car park. One or more of the tour guides will welcome you there and brief you about what the tour will be about. We do this there because our entrance is quite small and we really haven't got much room for briefing groups in the exhibition area. As far as the amount of time you'll need goes, if you bring a school group, you should plan on allowing a minimum of 90 minutes for the visit. This allows 15 minutes to get on and off the coach, 45 minutes for the guided tour, and 30 minutes for after-tour activities. If you're going to have lunch at the museum, you will, of course, have to allow more time. There are 2 cafes in the museum with seating for 80 people. If you want to eat there, you'll need to reserve some seating, as they can get quite crowded at lunchtime. Then, outside the museum, at the back, there are tables, and students can bring their own lunch and eat it there in the open air. All right. So, let's go ahead and take a look at that script, and then we can analyze it and see which kind of paraphrasing and traps that we encountered there. Alrighty, let's take a look. So, starting with question 11. Alright. Notice there were some times there, okay? They mentioned 9 a.m. and they mentioned 8 p.m. and then they mentioned 1:30 p.m. So these are before traps. Okay? That's a fairly simple one. In regards to opening hours, it's definitely not close hours, right? We are open every day of the week from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So here's our trap, 8 p.m. But it's pretty clear, except on Mondays when we close at 1:30 p.m. And here's our answer, 1:30. Okay? So that should be a pretty simple trap to catch. Okay? It's a before trap, all right? But this on Mondays should make it pretty obvious. Okay? Number 12, and in fact, the only day in the year when we are closed, okay, so we predicted that well, okay, closed, is on the 25th of December. Okay, and we guessed correctly, that was a date. Okay, so 25th of December. 2 words and a number. Okay, 25th of December, that would be fine. Or December 25th would be correct as well. 13. School groups are met by tour guides in the blank. Okay, so we're listening for school group here. All right, here is tour guide. Notice how the answer, which is car park, in the car park, actually comes between the two keywords. Okay, this is a way of making it a little bit more difficult. All right, because of the word there. The tour guides will welcome you there. Where? The car park. So they're testing your ability to kind of keep your listening attention over a longer stretch. Okay? They're testing your patience. So be patient. Okay, you heard car park. Is that the correct answer? Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Welcome you there. Yes, that is the correct answer. Car park. Okay? And later, you're going to see our entrance is quite small, and we really haven't got much room for briefing groups in the exhibition area. In the exhibition area, this is the trap. Okay? And notice the negative word here. We haven't got much room. Okay? So this trap is kind of announced by the use of a negative word. Haven't got much room. Okay? Just like we saw in our example earlier, the word avoid being used as a kind of negative word to set up the trap. Okay? In this case, we have haven't. 14. We have 90 minutes. That's our keyword. Okay? Including blank minutes for the guided tour. How many minutes? We have 15, we have 45, we have 30. We kind of have two traps here, right? So we need to listen for guided tour. This one's fairly easy. 15 minutes, get on and off the coach. 45 minutes, guided tour. Okay? And notice minutes for the guided tour. Minutes for the guided tour. Okay? Still section 2. It's not going to be super complicated. All right? But they give us two traps, so they made the paraphrasing very easy to balance the difficulty there. Okay? And now 15, tables is our answer here, but let's look if we have outside the museum, at the back, okay? Notice we mentioned in back of, okay? At the back, there are tables. Okay, noun, plural, right? And students can bring their own lunch and eat it there in the open air. Okay? And except for tables, I don't really see any other words that would work. Okay, maybe cafes. All right, maybe cafes, but we don't have anything about behind the museum there. Here we have in the museum. So I guess cafes could be considered a trap. All right? But I think when you hear at the back, this table's answer becomes very obvious. All right. You'll also notice that typically before a break, before the break in the listening passage, you'll have an answer pretty close to the end of it. If the answer were up here, there would be no reason to keep listening. Okay? So typically, right before the end of the passage, you're going to have an answer. Okay? If we see in number 20, we have the same thing here, right? Pretty close to the end. There's not going to be a lot of space here with nothing in it. Okay? So tables is probably a good guess as opposed to cafes, just based on its position even in the listening, close to the end. All right? But really the key word here is at the back, which we predicted here. Okay? So good preparation and an understanding of the way that traps work. Okay? The more you practice, the more you see different types of traps, the better you're going to get at these skills. All right, next let's look at one of my own examples. Okay? Some insider materials, and we'll go back to a form passage. All right. This looks familiar. All right, this is one that I did myself. Okay. And And let's take a look through and do our preparation here. Okay, so notice no more than 3 words and or a number. All right, so let's make sure to highlight that. Okay, very important. And now keywords. Okay, I would say view is a good keyword. Access, reception hall, and something else. Okay, so we're going to listen for reception hall and hear what comes after reception hall. Okay, let's see, 3. Let's see, we've got meal service. So listen for meal service, and that sets it up. Blank tables and intimate atmosphere. Okay. Navy something. Covering tables and chairs. Okay. Something sets. Okay. And envelopes, invitation programs. These are going to help us connect back with what kind of sets. Okay. Here we have late offering. Okay. Late is going to be a keyword there, I think. And drinks as well. Total price. Okay, special request. Supplying special something. And assist. And Janice someone. And then consultation. Okay. All right. So let's also go through and see if there's any spots where we need to check for paraphrasing. Okay. I notice with number 8 especially, special, we might have a word like unique or something. Supplying, providing, giving, something like that. Assist should be an easy one, maybe help, right? Okay. What else here? Covering. Well, tables and chairs could be something like furniture, maybe. Covering. I can't think of a word for covering. That's okay. Intimate. Could be private. Something like that. Okay. View. Something seen. Something like that, maybe. Okay. Remember, just getting your ideas flowing here, okay? We don't have to predict what they will be exactly, but it's good to kind of get our ideas going. All right. And then if we have time, we can also do this, right? A noun here, a noun here. This will be probably an adjective. Okay, some type of tables. This will definitely be a noun. Some kind of sets. Okay, could be an adjective, or it could just be a noun as well, like dinner sets or paper sets, something like that. Late offering of noun and drinks. Price, a number. A special something. A special... Oh, definitely a noun, right? Name here. And here a date. Okay? All right, and all these things will help us when we are listening. Now, we're actually going to... there'll be a little pause here. There probably should be a line here. Because we will hear the first 5 and then the second 5. Okay? So let's take it in 2 pieces. I'm going to read you the script for number 5, or for 1 through 5. I'll take a little pause, and then we'll do 6 through 10 as well. Okay, so I'm reading you the whole script here. Whew. Let me get a drink of water here before we start this. Silverware Plaza, how may I help you? I'm planning my company's anniversary celebration, and I'm considering your event space as a possible venue. Okay, when are you planning to hold the event? We're looking at August 1st or August 7th. Okay, one moment, I'll check those dates for you. Unfortunately, it looks like we are totally booked on the 7th, but we do have availability on the 1st. That's fine then. How many people do you expect to be in attendance? Around 140 people. Okay, well, it sounds like the Silver Suite would be the most appropriate. That name is familiar. I attended a reception there a few months back, and I think it may have been the same room, now that I think about it. I remember that the view was absolutely charming. Yes, that sounds like the same room. You can see all the way down to the river. Right, I remember. With the Silver Suite, you get full access to the reception hall, of course, but you also have exclusive access to a private outdoor patio. Some hosts have even elected to hold most of their event out on the patio, if the weather is particularly fine. Oh, well, that is an interesting idea. Is there a way to play music in the reception hall? Yes, there is sound equipment available. We can also help you to hire a band if you would prefer. We have connections with several local bands who charge very reasonable rates. I don't think that will be necessary. Actually, one of our staff has agreed to DJ the event for us. Oh, excellent. Let me explain a little more about the meal service, if I may. The Silver Suite uses small tables sitting only 5 people each, rather than large ones. Oh, yes, I remember. I quite enjoyed that. More of an intimate feeling, I suppose. Yes, we like to think so. The color scheme is simple and elegant, with navy fabric draped over the tables and chairs, and gold-colored table decorations. That sounds lovely. We can also offer matching stationery sets for your event. The set includes an envelope, invitation, and event program for each guest. We believe it adds a real professional touch to the proceedings. Sounds very nice. We'll stop there, okay? That was 1 through 5. We'll have a little pause, and then we'll move on to 6 through 10. Our package also includes a meal, which is typically served at around 7 o'clock. What kind of food do you serve? Guests will have a choice between chicken with rice and a vegetable medley, or roast beef with mashed potatoes and salad. In addition to the meal, we offer a late-night selection of desserts, along with tea or wine. That all sounds great. So, altogether, how much will that cost? The total price for the Silver Suite is £4,855. Oh, that seems a little bit high. To be honest, I was already quoted £4,400 by Backenridge Hotel. Well, I think when you consider everything that we are offering, not to mention the quality, you'll see that it's well worth the price. I guarantee that your employer will be very satisfied with your choice. Well, I certainly hope you're right about that. There's one more thing. I'd like to have a very special cake made for the event. Do you think you could help us with that? Oh yes, we have a strong working relationship with one of the best pastry shops in the city. We would be happy to put you in touch with them. Actually, our event planner can walk you through all of those things and help with a lot of the details. Oh, excellent. Her name is Janice Pretzin. That's Preztin, and her number is 3651-2298. Got it. Actually, it would be great if you could come in the next week or two and meet her in person. You can get a tour of the facilities, and we'll set you up with a free consultation. Yes, I would appreciate that. When are you available? Well, I'm free in the afternoon on the 9th of May. That's a Saturday, right? That's right. Or I'm available on the 14th as well, if you prefer. Yes, thanks. That would be better for us. We'll see you then. Okay, thanks so much. Goodbye. Whew. All right. That is the end of the passage. Let's take a look at the script and we can see how well you answered the questions. Let's take a look here. So the example, I think, is a good illustration of a before trap. Okay. Notice the example comes in this section right here. All right. Unfortunately, it looks like we are totally booked on the 7th, but we do have availability on the 1st. Okay, so 1st of August. 1 August is the correct answer, right? So that's a good example, even though we didn't have to listen for it, of a before trap. Okay? But now let's take a look at number 1. Excellent view of the what? So we're listening for view. Oops. Let me see. Little mistake there. Okay. Yes, okay. So we've got view here, right? The view was absolutely charming. Okay, so we can start listening for the answer here. The view of the what, right? And we get that in the next line. That sounds like the same room. You can see all the way down to the river. And that is our answer for number 1. Okay, there's no trap. It's a straightforward question, but the key is patience. Okay, we get a keyword here. We have to wait for the answer in the next line. Okay, that's why you don't panic. You got to relax and be patient. Okay, a lot of these questions go across maybe 2 or maybe even 3 lines of dialogue. So you have to be patient. So number 1, river. Number 2, access to the reception hall and the blank. Okay, and we have access to the reception hall here. Okay, but you also, okay, here's our and, here's our also, have exclusive access to a private outdoor patio. Okay. Private outdoor patio. That's going to be our answer for that one. All right. I believe in the answer key, the word private is optional. Okay. Outdoor patio must be included, but private does not have to be. Okay. In this case. All right. But every test is a little bit different in that way. Okay. In some cases, you need all 3. If you hear all 3 words, and you see 3 words here, okay, just include all 3 of them, okay, if you can. All right. And again, there's no traps here, okay? It's just about listening for this thing. Again, the fact that there are 3 words makes this a little bit harder. Okay. Now, features of the meal service. Okay, meal service. Where do we have meal service? Meal service. Okay. So here's where we start listening for it. Okay. We hear our keyword meal service. And then we're listening for what kind of tables. Okay, and here's a good example of a trap. All right, an after trap. The silver suite uses small tables rather than large ones. Okay, so is it large or small? In this case, small. So a fairly easy trap, but a trap nonetheless. Okay, intimate feeling, intimate atmosphere, right? Okay. Number 4, we're listening for navy. The color scheme. Okay, so we can start to listen here. Is simple and elegant with navy what? Navy fabric. Okay? Oops. So fabric is our correct answer there. All right, again, no traps there, but you have to listen really close to catch this word. Okay? And draped over instead of covering. All right? Now, number 5. Okay, we're listening for some kind of sets. Okay, and that's where we get right here. A bit of a difficult word. The word is stationary. Okay, stationary, if you don't know what that word means, it means like paper supplies. Okay, envelope, invitation, event, program. Okay, so stationary sets. All right, and we predicted that correctly. It was a noun. Now, if we move on to number 6, we are listening for late offering. Late offering. Okay, a meal is served around 7, so we're listening for all of these things. Here's where patience is really important. We're hearing chicken with rice, vegetable medley. Should it be vegetable medley? Should it be chicken with rice? Is it roast beef? Mashed potatoes? Salad? What's our answer? Okay, we're starting to freak out, starting to panic. Okay, you have to be patient. Wait, wait, wait. Late night. There's our key word. Selection of, ding, 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 desserts. Okay, notice the spelling, 2 S's, okay? A lot of native speakers misspell the word desserts. If you spell it wrong, it's incorrect, okay? And we don't have drinks, but we have tea and wine, okay, to match drinks. Now, 7, total price. The total price for the Silver Suite is, okay, pretty straightforward, $4,855. That is our answer. We have a bit of a trap afterwards, okay, because we have here 4,400 pounds, okay? So, you heard this correctly, you wrote it there, right? And now you're starting to think, was I wrong? Should it be 4,400? Don't second guess yourself, okay? These after traps can be really frustrating for the test takers because, right, now we're hearing a different word, now we are questioning ourselves. Don't question yourself, go with it. You were correct. 4,855 was right. Number 8. Assist supplying something special. Assist applying something special. Okay. Yep, a special something here. Okay, a very special cake made for the event. All right, now this is no trap here, but this was hard to hear because the help came in the second sentence here. All right. And to have a cake made. Okay, that is supplying. All right. So the paraphrasing there is not only delayed, but also fairly complex. Okay. So this was a difficult one just because we need to hear this word within all the rest of that stuff going on. Okay. But our answer there should be cake, a special cake. 9, Janice someone, and this is a simple one because they give you the spelling, okay? You just got to listen for the spelling, Preztin, okay? And date for consultation, bit of a trap here. We have 2 dates, 9th of May, 14th as well, okay? And the trap goes across all 4 lines of dialogue here. I'm free in the afternoon on the 9th of May. So you're thinking, right in here, 9th of May, right? And then, that's on a Saturday, right? That's right. Or, I'm available on the 14th as well, if you prefer. So now you're thinking 19th or 14th, which one? Yes, thanks. That would be better for us. What does that mean? It means the 14th. Okay, and that's what they're testing you on here. Okay, we're testing you. Can you understand what this... Ah, yes, good. Okay, 14th is better. Yes, thank you. Okay, there's a kind of social element to that there. Okay, so 14th of May is the correct answer. May 14th or 14th of May. Okay, so I would say the 10th might be the most, number 10 might be the most difficult in this whole thing, because there's a trap and you need to listen across 4 lines of dialogue to hear it. But you're seeing a theme develop here, which is patience. Okay? Have patience. Don't panic. You know, you're going to start filling in an answer here and you might need to change it because the dialogue may continue. Okay? So be patient. Try not to panic when something like this happens. All right? All right, guys, and that is the end of this lesson. All right, we had a few good examples. If you need to listen back and hear the strategies and the types of traps that are being used, please do that. We will have other completion types later on in lesson 3, all right, where we'll use some of these same skills again. Okay, but until next time, I'll see you in lesson 2. Goodbye.